we'll put up with all the mayhem for another few days.
Yeah, I was going to say the end is near for all of us. What's the latest on Rick Nash? Let's start there.
Well, you know, it's crawling right now, and you can understand and appreciate why when you're dealing with such a valuable commodity. You know, you have to make absolutely certain that you're staying in touch with those teams that you know are interested, but are also on Rick Nash's list, and you know, make sure that the process slowly pushes along so that you can get to a point between now and the deadline where you can make a very difficult decision. But there's a process that goes into that, understandably, because you know the asking price for Rick Nash is absolutely off the charts, and teams are sitting there going, geez, we just don't know that we're willing to pay that price. And in some cases, teams have flat out said they're not willing to pay that price. So it's quieting down a little bit, only because you know teams have said that, other teams have put out what they're willing to spend, or at least a combination of the players that they're willing to part with to get Rick Nash. And you know, now it's up to Columbus to take the next handful of days here to assess whether or not they believe that the best deal is on the table now, will be on the weekend or at the deadline, or whether or not it's best to wait until the summer.
Darren, your gut feeling, they've been doing this a while now. Do you think Nash goes before Monday, the trade deadline on Monday?
Yeah, it's tough, man. You're asking for a gut feeling. I would say this: if Rick Nash doesn't have an opportunity presented to him by Sunday, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And the reason I say that is, you know, you go back to the Brad Richards trade from Tampa Bay to the Dallas Stars. You know, that was a deal that took a lot of discussion, and Brad Richards was heavily involved in that process along with Pat Morris's agent all the way through. But Richards knew well in advance that Dallas was the primary option, and you know, he had time to, you know, mull it over with his no-move clause and ultimately make the decision of accepting the deal. Well, Rick Nash needs that same opportunity, and he's going to get that same opportunity. So if Housen doesn't have a deal by the weekend, one that he's comfortable living with, that's going to help turn his organization around yet again, then there's no way it gets done by Monday. So I don't know that I answered your question, EJ, because right now my gut is all over the place specific to Rick Nash, because we don't know who's officially on his list as opposed to the list that Housen is working on. So this whole thing has been somewhat of a mass confusion.
Let's go to Jeff Carter, Rick Nash's teammate. What are you hearing it's going to take to make a deal for Jeff Carter?
Well, again, the asking price seems to vary, and it absolutely hinges on what happens with Rick Nash. Rick Nash has more or less paralyzed the market among those teams who are interested also in Jeff Carter. And you know, the list of interested teams in Carter is real short, and most believe that it might be only one team, and that's the Los Angeles Kings. So LA could be looking at Jeff Carter as the obvious plan B if they strike out on Rick Nash. And if that's the case, then Dean Lombardi is going to have to pay probably more than what he's comfortable paying, and at that stage he might be willing to do it because of the pressure that he's feeling within LA. So to say that Columbus requires a young roster player and maybe a prospect or a quality draft pick is a little premature, because the asking price will change depending on the availability of Rick Nash over the weekend, and also whether or not another team emerges with legitimate interest in Jeff Carter.
Hey, Darren, we get the word today that Tuomo Lutu has 5